Welcome to Truth Seekers.
Hello, friends, and welcome to the Seiker Podcast on Service of Change Radio, where we challenge reality, question that which we've been taught, and hope to inspire a new direction of thought to bring about change. I'm your host, Dennis Nappy II, with Service of Change at serviceofchange.com, where you can read my newest book, I Am Human, and We Are Not Who We Think We Are, for free just by subscribing to the weekly Seiker newsletter, also a free subscription. And you also get this each episode of the Seiker Podcast sent right to your inbox with exclusive content just for readers and subscribers. So I highly encourage you to do that. Really happy to be back on the air this week. Looking forward to getting into this show, talking about beliefs. Excuse me. What are our beliefs? And challenging beliefs with other people. When you have these discussions, when somebody comes from one understanding and somebody comes from another understanding, it can be a real tense moment, a real tense subject. They said you should never talk with people, or at least with strangers, about religion and politics. But beliefs come through so strongly. And I had an experience last week that has inspired this show that I want to talk about. But looking into the news real quick, something that came across my feed. This is an article dated December 3rd, but I think it's still, recent enough to share it with all of you. The article is from deathandtaxesmag.com, and I actually found this through Graham Hancock's Facebook feed. He shared this last week. And it's called First Legal Ayahuasca Retreat to Open in the U.S. And it's written by Jamie Patrick. Americans no longer have to travel deep into the jungles of Peru to have a life-changing experience with ayahuasca. According to Ayahuasca Healings, an organization that originally provided retreats to Peru for Americans looking to imbibe the ancient plant medicine, the First Legal Ayahuasca Church will begin administering the stuff to U.S. psychonauts in January of 2016. It's spiritual, it's cosmic, and it's just 90 minutes north of SeaTac Airport. The article goes on to say, to the price of a mere, in quotes, suggested donation of $1,497 to $1,997 is what they're suggesting you donate to have this experience. Now, Graham Hancock, if you've read his books, has traveled, to Central and South America and had several amazing experiences on ayahuasca. And I'm also a fan of the late Carlos Castaneda. I quote him in my next book, Food for the Archons, for the experiences that he's had on taking, peyote and ayahuasca. It's a psychoactive drug that gives people an experience. And I'm currently getting ready to start reading a book called The Sacred Mushroom and the Cross, which talks about the Amanita muscaria mushroom. Long story short, there's a lot of great stuff. I'm going to do another show on this. A lot of great research out there that will, in my opinion, if you've never looked into this, but you decide to take an honest look to it, will blow your mind. The awakening that happens, the understanding that people get, or the different perspective, let me put it that way, the different perspective people report having once they take these plant substances is just absolutely beautiful and incredible, and it's life-changing. So I'm excited that this is going to be a legal event here in the United States, and people will have access to it despite that donation that they'll have to pay. But nothing in this world is free, as they say, right? So I want to talk today about beliefs. I was having a discussion with somebody last week. They were talking about a book that they're reading. And the book is fascinating, and it's a guy who's providing medical information. I got to find the name of the book. My apologies. But the guy who's providing medical information, and he's in essence, he's a medium. And his claim is that he's getting his information from what he calls spirit. And I'll link the name of the book in the show notes at Service of Change. But, so we were having this discussion, and this person, she's telling me all about this book, and she's saying, I'm skeptical about what he's saying about where this information's coming from, because he sounds nuts, but the information he's providing is totally accurate. Medically, he described all the symptoms that she had that no doctor has ever been able to accurately diagnose or explain. And he goes in and says, if you're experiencing this, X, Y, and Z, and it's not just specific and broad stuff. He's talking about very specific symptoms that she's having. He's saying, here's the underlying cause for it, which is it was linked to mono. And she says, I had mono when I was a kid, and that's when I started having these symptoms. But no other doctor has identified this as the underlying cause. And I know I'm kind of all over the place again, but so long story short, this guy's claiming he's getting his information intuitively or psychically as a channel through some higher spirit, and the information is accurate, but she's skeptical of where he's getting this information from, because that sounds so incredibly fantastic. It challenges our own beliefs about who we are and the greater universe around us. So I started talking about my stuff. I saw a window there. I said, hey, and I used the analogy of, if you think that, of people as processors, our brains as like a CPU or a hard drive, and there's a Wi-Fi signal out there, and we can tune ourselves, we tune our own frequency to receive those signals. Then we can better listen to the universe or the guides or whatever it is that's out there. She became upset with my analogy. She said, that goes against what I believe, and didn't want to have the discussion with me any further. It frustrated her, and respectfully, I stopped where I was going. But that frustrated me as well, because, I don't even like to say that's what I believe. That's what, based on the things that I've experienced and the things that I've read, that's what I've been coming to understand. That understanding could change with a new piece of information. I'm open to that. But I've read a lot that makes a pretty good analogy for me. But it really bothered me, and I started really thinking about, for lack of a better term, I'm going to say my own beliefs. I'm going to stick with understandings. For my own understandings, and I think about when somebody else is trying to push their beliefs on me. I've had that happen when I was younger. I guess I was about 20 years old. I went to a party with a new friend, and it was different. He said, "Hey, we're gonna go to a party. It's at our youth hall, and there's going to be a guest speaker tonight." I'm like, okay. I've never been to a party with a guest speaker. At 20 years old, you go to a party. It's usually an empty house, and there's kegs of beer and kids, causing trouble. I wasn't a drinker at that age, but that's what I was used to. So I go to this party, and it was a youth group. It was a religious youth group, and a bunch of really good kids. And they had this speaker who was my age, and he comes out and he starts talking about his experience in college. He says, I tried the drugs, I tried, drinking alcohol, and I realized that it was just sinful. And he goes into this, and everybody's silent, just listening to him. And so afterwards, he noticed I was the new guy, and he pulled me aside. He said, "So, are you a Christian?" I said, "No, not anymore." And he says, "Oh, I love this. Okay, let's have the talk." And I'm thinking, I really don't want to have a talk with you right now. But he literally cornered me, and then starts to lecture me and telling me that I just need to open my heart to Jesus to be saved, because I wasn't saved, and my life was not, I was not going to get into heaven. And he went through the whole spiel and really trapped me for about 45 minutes trying to convince me to convert to his belief system. And I was appalled and so offended by that pushiness, by him trying to tell me that I was a sinner, that I wasn't good enough to walk into heaven according to his belief system unless I opened my heart to Jesus and welcomed Christ into my life. That really upset me. because he was trying to force his beliefs on me. Now, as Americans, we have the right to believe in anything that we want. But if you notice, we want that right to believe what we believe in. But as soon as somebody else has a contradicting belief, we want to, get out the pitchforks and burn them at the stake like it's the Salem witch trials again. And, a perfect example of this is what's going on around us today. I'm still seeing so much anti-Muslim statements, the hatred for people of Islam, despite the fact that there are countless Muslim Americans who have served in the United States military and died for this country. But their belief is scary to us now, so it challenges our beliefs, and we want to shut it down. Now, as truth seekers, to you truth seekers out there, this is something you're all familiar with, because you come across some undeniable information that at least deserves investigation. This XYZ does not make sense, and you ask that question, and people shut you down, and you are made to feel that you are the crazy one. I want to tell you, you are not crazy. Like I say at the end of every show, never stop questioning and keep an open mind. It's so important that you do that. And again, if you're a truth seeker, maybe you've heard this term, maybe you have not. But I went to simplepsychology.org and I got a bit of an expanded definition. This is called cognitive dissonance. I'm going to read a short article here. It's by Saul McLeod. It was published in 2008 but updated in 2014. And I'll have the link to this in the show notes as well. But whether you've heard this before or not, I want you to pay attention to this definition because this might be you. I know it has been me in the past and it may be me in the future. And in summary, cognitive dissonance is when you're presented with a belief system, when you're presented with a statement of something that you can't deny, that completely challenges everything you believe and know and hold dearly to the world. And here's what people tend to do with it. So I'm going to read this article real quick for us. Cognitive dissonance refers to a situation involving conflicting attitudes, beliefs, or values. This produces a feeling of discomfort leading to an alteration in one of the attitudes, beliefs, or behaviors to reduce the discomfort and restore balance, etc. For example, when people smoke, behavior, and they know that smoking causes cancer, cognition. Feistinger's 1957 cognitive dissonance theory suggests that we have an inner drive to hold all our attitudes and beliefs in harmony and avoid disharmony or dissonance. Attitudes may change because of factors within the person. An important factor here is the principle of cognitive consistency, the focus of Feistinger's 1957 theory of cognitive dissonance. This theory starts from the idea that we seek consistency in our beliefs and attitudes in any situation where two cognitions are inconsistent. Leon Feistinger, 1957, proposed cognitive dissonance theory, which states that a powerful motive to maintain cognitive consistency can give rise to the irrational and sometimes maladaptive behavior. According to Feistinger, we may hold cognitions about the world and ourselves. When they clash, a discrepancy is evoked, resulting in a state of tension known as cognitive dissonance. As the experience of dissonance is unpleasant, we are motivated to reduce or eliminate it and achieve consonance, i.e. agreement. Cognitive dissonance was first investigated by Leon Feistinger, arising out of a particular observation study of a cult which believed that the earth was going to be destroyed by a flood and what happened to its members, particularly the really committed ones who had given up their homes and jobs to work for the cult when the flood did not happen. While fringe members were more inclined to recognize that they had made fools of themselves and to put it down to experience, committed members were more likely to reinterpret the evidence to show that they were right all along and the earth was not destroyed because of the faithfulness of the cult members. This is a very important understanding because I've encountered this several times. I've experienced it personally. I remember people have presented information to me or I've come across information and I have screamed at people because I didn't want to hear it. Because I said, no, that's not the way the world is. That's not what I was taught. You are wrong. How dare you even speak that? And I walked away, furious about it, and I rationalized it in my head. And at some points it was, the only reason you're wrong is because that's not what I was taught, even though what they said made sense. And it took sometimes several years for some of this stuff to sink in before I could finally let go. and just accept what they were saying because I had to start looking into it, and then I couldn't deny it. And in the Matrix movie, I know I refer to this a lot, where Morpheus tells Neo, we have a rule. We never free a mind beyond a certain age because the mind has trouble letting go. It's earth-shattering. That is Armageddon. That is revelation. When you realize that some of these beliefs that you hold true may not be the truth or the best description of that truth. And sometimes when the other night when I was having this discussion with this person, I felt that cognitive dissonance was coming into play because what she said was that this contradicts my beliefs. It goes against what I believe in. Well, that doesn't mean that what I'm saying is wrong, but it may be difficult for somebody to accept. And that is something that we need to be conscious of. And that brings me to my next point. You have a lot of people out there who say, I'm trying to wake people up. I need to wake you up so you can know the truth. My question is, how is that any different than the young man that told me that I needed to open up my heart to Jesus Christ to be saved? By forcing people to try to wake up, you're creating conflict, you're creating tension, and you're trying to force their mind to do something they're not capable of doing, and you are forcing an apocalypse on people. It's very difficult to do. Now, we all have our beliefs, and sometimes I wonder, am I any different than that young man that cornered me back in my 20s? Am I any different than him? And I like to say yes, because I'm not forcing people to listen to this podcast. I'm not forcing people to read my books, although sometimes I want to, because in my opinion, like I said, this goes beyond belief for me. This is understanding based on what I call evidence that I can pull out and I can show to you. But I may believe in my evidence just as much as somebody else believes the Bible is the true spoken word of God, and that evidence may hold just as much weight and credibility to them. Regardless of if I can argue with that or not, to tell somebody that is wrong would be earth-shattering. Again, some of my beliefs or understandings go against that. But to sit here and tell them, we have to understand that that's going to be shattering for people. So where do we find the balance? What do we do about this? How do we handle dealing with these inconsistent beliefs? Because let's face it, the world, again, is in a state of chaos right now. We may be on the brink of war, or they may just be more fear-mongering put out by the media. It's tough when you see people supporting a system that I'm going to use the word believe again, that we believe is fundamentally flawed and designed to be causing trouble for us. But my fear is that the second that we start forcing our own beliefs on people and demanding that they quote-unquote wake up, now you're creating tension and conflict. And with that cognitive dissonance, we become the enemy. To rationalize what we're saying in their head, you're a conspiracy theorist. You are crazy. Now I don't have to believe you because you're nuts. You're one of those fringe people. So how do we do it? I say keep plugging away. Throw out that little sample here and there, because your goal should not be to convert people or to teach people that don't want to be taught. I like to be here with my little bit of experience and my own insight for people that are searching for more answers and searching for more understanding. And again, I'm no guru, I'm no expert, but I do have my own insights and my own experiences and my own thoughts and my own resources that I want to share with other people because other people share stuff with me. So I think if we can shift our focus and say, hey, I'm going to be able to have an open discussion, even if it challenges my beliefs. I will listen to yours because there's always something you can learn. And if you're willing to listen to mine, I'll share it with you until you become uncomfortable. And then I'll stop. And that's a challenge because it's things we feel passionately about. And for some of us, we feel that if we don't take action now, the consequences could be devastating. But isn't that the game? Isn't that what keeps people going? And I wonder if that really is the end result. So at the end of the day, we can really only control ourselves and our actions. So if you're available to share information, share it. But if you start reaching that resistance and that conflict, it's just not worth it. It's just not worth it for so many reasons, because some people can't handle, as Jack Nicholson said, you can't handle the truth, to Tom Cruise in A Few Good Men. Great movie, horrible impression. But just something to think about, because this has been bothering me for the last week. And again, I strive not to be that young man who forced his beliefs on me, but this is something. Obviously, I'm doing a weekly podcast. I wrote a book. I'm writing another book about it. I have the blog, the Facebook page. I feel so strongly about this stuff. I think it's important to share this type of information. I don't know what else to say without going on for another hour about why I do this, but that's a different show as well. But I guess at the end of the day, like I always say, keep an open mind, never stop questioning it, and we need to be respectful of one another and each other's beliefs. And if somebody starts to corner you and challenge you with their beliefs, sorry that I don't prescribe to that, and just keep it moving, because you're not going to get anywhere with it. So that is all the time I have. I'd like to thank you for listening to this show. As always, please check out I Am Human and We Are Not Who We Think We Are at serviceofchange.com/I Am Human. Please tell your friends. Like I said, I'm trying to grow my readership, and I'm promoting the next book, I Am Human: Food for the Archons, the work in progress. It's going to be a fantastic journey, through my life and through some of my research as well. So again, thank you so much for your continued support. I'd love to hear your comments, thoughts, feedback on the show. Send me an email, Dennis Nappy II, that's DennisNappii @gmail.com. I'm Dennis with Service of Change at serviceofchange.com, where small changes among the masses can have a massive impact around the world. Remember to never stop questioning and keep an open mind. Thank you.
Welcome to Truth Seekers.